So let's talk about let's talk about Cohen today.
Okay, so let's start it off. So Michael Cohen did do his testimony before Congress or
Yes, sir.
Senate Judicial
Congress.
Congress, and he basically had some interesting to say about our president. What's your feeling on that?
I just think it's interesting that when someone is dropped from a group or organization, there's a reason for it. And then, kind of when you get dropped, the ball comes with it too.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going down, he's gonna take you with him. I think it's crazy because, like, one of my friends would say, he's lied to Congress before, so what's stopping him from lying again?
Right.
So it's really about listening to what he has to say, but taking it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Well, I come from a background of that. My grandfather was a Supreme Court judge, and my other grandfather was a practicing lawyer until he was 87 years old, and I have a lot of close people to me that are lawyers, definitely three or four. I would definitely say that with any larger case, especially in criminal organizations, there's always an understanding that with the people that they're flipping, that there is going to be a a colorful past, to say the least, and that these are not always the most ethical people. But as I think he said in his testimony, he is being charged with lying forward to cover up Donald Trump. That are the charges that were against him, and that's what he got in trouble for. So they had proof of it. So all he was doing was acknowledging what he did get caught for. So it wasn't like he was making this stuff up. It's that they already knew. It's like they have the evidence. They're showing him that's how they knew he was lying. So it's a little bit different, I think, and as far as when it comes to people doing their due diligence and actually structuring if this guy is having a feasible argument or a feasible testimony. And I think he said it best. I tried to cover up for this guy, and they prosecuted me to the fullest extent of the law, and anyone else that isn't going in line with this is going to suffer the same destiny as he has. I mean, he's the one that's going to end up having to go to jail.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to convince me. I think it's more about the skepticism of like your everyday American. You
Definitely, and
know,
they're definitely, even if they, well, first of all, we've talked about this before. Even if there's a video of Trump doing these things and hard evidence of him doing these things, I think himself said it perfectly. Even if he walked out in the middle of Times Square and shot someone in the face, people that are his supporters are not worried
yeah,
about that if he's guilty or not. They agree. I think anyone has to know what. Now, are some people that are obviously supporters that are in denial of it and or feel that there is nothing there? Sure, and that if they found out that there was hard, concrete evidence, they would change their mind. Definitely, I definitely think that's feasible. But I know a lot of Trump supporters, and even if they show hard proof videos, documents, tax refunds, criminal investigation stuff, first thing they're going to probably say, a lot of them, is he's being set up.
yeah,
They're going to say it's false. It's going to say it's the deep state. I
yep.
mean, like Alex Jones, I saw Alex Jones on Joe Rogan the other day. He's going to say it's the deep state setting him up. It's a conspiracy. It's this, it's that. So I think people know that support him, who he is and what he's about and how he feels about it. They agree with the. I think that's why a lot of them like him, is because they agree with how he goes about it and how he deals with it and relate to it in a lot of ways. So I don't know if what the outcome's going to be, but this is what I do know is that what is it, 20 somewhat people in his immediate circle have already been charged or prosecuted or brought up on indictment. And pretty much everyone I know that is a Trump supporter still looks at him and goes, well, you knew nothing about it. There was no collusion.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
So I mean, so when you're dealing with people that this whole entire team is being arrested, and then you're going to say he don't know nothing about it, then that's on you. I mean, that's if that's your personal opinion that uh kind of like with that last episode, we were still talking about Takashi. If you think that the people around Takashi didn't know or he didn't know, that's fine. But the evidence is going to come out. And let's not forget, long before Donald Trump became president, there was a lot of people doing investigations and dossiers with him connected with, organized crime, this type of thing. And I guess the truth is going to come out. I think it's really sad ultimately in the end because if he is guilty, it's going to be a process of healing for half. First of all, there's half of a nation here that does support him, so they're not going to be happy about it, and these are still people. So finding that balance, and then how much did Pence know? How many people are really going to go down at the end? And how about this? Historically speaking, even if he does go down, how much consequence and
Yeah. I mean, if you don't take out Pence, you just what? Give him pardon?
well, I would say that a lot of people would contest that Pence is even worse than Trump. That
I've heard that, yeah.
Pence is, first of all, he's definitely tied in with the Koch brothers. He was definitely the highest financed, had definitely the highest supported candidate by the brothers was Mike Pence. So he and his right wing agenda, he is symptomatic of representation of a lot of what that side is, and I guess we'll find out. Whatever it is, I think that people just are ready for some answers and ready for some closure. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be so simple or so.
It's been 3 years.
Yeah, and before we blink an eye, we're going to be here for the election, and it's just going to keep pushing forward. What's next?
We're gonna talk about Ramy Malek, who won Best Actor, by the way. In case you guys didn't see the Oscars.
Yeah, Ramy Malek. So he also has a show on USA called Mr. Robot, which I've been a huge fan of for.
Is it still going on?
Yeah, actually, the new final season is about to start here in a couple of weeks, and so is Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is going to be starting here in a couple of weeks.
So you're gonna watch that.
I think a lot of people are expecting Game of Thrones to come in and be big and kill it. I definitely have heard around a lot of people speculating about what's gonna happen.
I heard there's odds about who's gonna win, right?
Hey, in Vegas, they bet on everything. I mean, if you ever been to Vegas or you ever look online, they literally gamble on everything. So,
Wouldn't know. I'm 19.
yeah, I guess we'll find out. But congratulations to Rami. I mean, definitely, I think his speech about talking about him being a immigrant, coming here, living his dream, and then giving exposure to Queen, to Freddie Mercury, and his story about being who he was, and how that's the beautiful thing about America, that someone could come here, be this personality, and that we cultivate that, and it's kind of the American dream, right? You come here, your family comes here, you're a first generation immigrant, and the sky's the limit. I mean, he became one of the biggest icons, I say pop icons of the last 100 years.
Would you say rock star pose?
Rock star, yeah, pop icon, rock star, and now Rami. I think that we're gonna have a lot of good things to come. I mean, this show, Mr. Robot. I mean, have you ever seen it?
I heard the first season's phenomenal, but the second season kind of falls off.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing about art.
Yeah.
It's like we were just listening to some music and stuff. I mean, hey, everyone's got an opinion and stuff, and just because one person goes and watches season 2 and says it's better than it's just like with my music. I hand my music to people all the time, and even when someone tells me they like it, I think a lot of people are just being polite,
I
and
mean, I really like what you gave me. or
I
like that.
appreciate that, and that means the world to me. And I think there are some people that sincerely, authentically listen to stuff and engage in it and they become endeared to it. That being said, I'm just saying that look at how many people that are out there right now, super successful with their careers, where us as fans of music might listen to what they're doing and go, how are these people famous? How is this person have on Billboard? How is this person one of the biggest pop stars of the day? It's all interpretive, and that's what I think as I say to my students, doesn't matter how people, it matters how you feel about it and you finding your audience. And if you could find your audience, run with it and do whatever you can to get it out there. And
Black Panther soundtrack given to you by yours truly, Kendrick Lamar, and
Ludwig, a USC graduate, won for his score, who was a Thornton student here. And just amazing that see right in that he starts off talking about that.
yeah, he met Ryan Coogler at USC. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
crazy.
then it is that he was working on his independent movie here, his student movie, and just to see that full scope of just how, hey, I think I can't imagine that, 10 years from now,
That's
well,
what
we
we'll
might
do.
even say, I would love to have that kind. I mean, you could only be so lucky to have such a conversation that someone that you believed in, regardless, and then it just translates into something else, and seeing that person ultimately successful and out there and getting some recognition. And more importantly, I think putting out quality work because I think the quality of the project that across the board, I mean, I've seen a lot of people, especially some of my friends that did go to Thornton and that have gone through the program says that it's just so hard to get in and just that this is such a high level with the conductors of the training program and the expectations and just to see Trojan family once again out there putting out not just getting the accolades, but actually putting out a product of content that's just
Yeah.
really humbly amazing. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking to make my own movie
Mhm.
here at USC, so I kind of I'm looking forward to that, and I hope we have the same amount of connections. I've been reaching out to a lot of my friends and just having that conversation with them where we're just sitting down and I'm explaining my idea and having them reciprocate, yes, I believe in that image, let's do it, is
Mhm.
phenomenal for me because I hope that, even though I'm not going to pursue, filmmaking, some of them will, and, I'll see them at the Oscars next. And then I can tell my kids, hey,
Mhm.
I made a movie with that guy.
Yeah, and I definitely think that regardless of the Oscar, regardless of the Grammy, whatever it is, as long as you put out a quality product of something that it's like kind of, especially with me in my career where I'm at this point and stuff. It's there's accolades. That's great. I mean, everyone wants to be acknowledged for their work. That being
Hmm.
said, if it's about based off of putting out a product that you believe in and something that you're proud of and something that you feel is authentic to your dream and to what you're trying to put out there. I mean, this is amazing. And I, even the music video they did for all the lights with SZA and stuff, I thought the cinematography on it was just amazing. Her going through the stars.
I think they worked in tandem.
Mhm.
You had Top Dog Entertainment working on the soundtrack, and you had Marvel Studios, Ryan Coogler,
Yeah.
just working on the movie, and I think it kind of overlapped. It was like we'll help you out with music videos, and we'll help you out with the music. So I
Yeah.
think it was a good partnership, and I mean we've been seeing it with like these new movies like Into the Spider Verse, which also won a Grammy by the an
Mhm.
Oscar by the way.
Yeah.
Apologize. Won that, and I was just been listening to their soundtrack this entire weekend.
Yeah. So I think one of the issues is that with the popular vote, you're hearing a lot of people talk about, should the electoral college be taken away from? Is it obsolete? Should it be something that we use still? And there's definitely, I think, an argument that's feasible that it's put in place so that just the popular vote isn't what truly represents the vast scope of what the diversity of this country is.
I think it's interesting how they divide it up. I mean, I think the way
gerrymandering, all that type of
yeah,
stuff.
no, cause
How they chop up
yeah, cause like the
the.
way it works is it's just not proportional, you know.
Mhm.
I think you have like one. I think Montana has like one vote, and then it's got more power than people in California.
Right. So there's
It's
definitely a
I,
paradox there that you have
yeah.
someone that has 50 times the population and they have equal representation and equal leverage in the conversation, which in a
I
way
just
I
think
think is not
it's
because also too I would debate that people in the cities, the major cities, are exposed to more diversity and are exposed to
yeah.
things that are more cultural issues, and
Mhm.
there's definitely an identification that people get with the experience of interacting with
Well,
things outside of their normal box.
well, I think it also, I mean, limits what you're able to do. I mean, there's a reason why there's no, debate in California because the Republicans are like, you know what, that's a blue state. Like, why do I even bother? And it's segregating a different part of the community. I mean, I'm not a Republican, but I feel like even they should be given that chance to have their voice heard. And I think, just the way that our country is, the way the Electoral College came to be, was back in the day when we were still, riding on horses and, we're the most advanced country and we have like the biggest GDP in the world. Why can't we trust our constituents? I think that the idea that a single vote matters and that representation is what we're about is kind of underscored when we have this electoral college system, where two out of the last three presidents have been voted in, even though the majority of Americans
I
voted for the other candidate.
totally agree, and I think that it's disparaging to a lot of people, especially when it seems like to be powers at play that are getting people into these positions, and it's not an actual representation of the people and their will. So next thing, someone was cured of AIDS the other day. Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
I know
second
that.
person ever cured of AIDS in the history of our culture. So that pretty interesting. I've heard from some doctors that this is not something that's going to be easily replicated, but it is a step in the right direction, and I
Of
think gives
course.
hope for people that are suffering. And there was some science behind it that people that had genetics that were resilient to AIDS said that it was a stem cell of their gene and incorporating that in so the person could be resilient. So I think that there's some hope there that if we could start replicating resilient genes and incorporating into these people. But it's like everything else. It's the money and the access to the healthcare and the quality of the healthcare that these people are going to get is determinant of where they are in the access.
It's true.
But I think anyone that was healed or given an opportunity to get a better quality of life.
I'm just thinking about the people that were, not given that choice, that were born with it.
Yeah, epidemic. I mean, it's truly an epidemic. I mean, especially when I talk to older people who never dealt with that as a reality, it's definitely a paradox that now we're in a place where we might be starting to find some of the solutions to these diseases, cancer and whatnot. But
You know, we'll be able to talk more
we'll
next
talk more.
time. We just gotta
Quality
go
rated.
somewhere right now. But thank you for having us. I'm Andre.
Hey, it's DJ Proper. Peace, love, and happiness to everyone worldwide. And remember, no matter your race, no matter your place, we're all God's children.
Look out for my mixtape.
Uh-oh. We got mixtapes of quality radio, guys.
All right,
Peace
I'll
out.
be
Fight
going.
on. Fight on.